Screeching tires, shattered glass, a flash of metal and chaos. Every second feels like forever. This is real footage, raw, unfiltered, unstoppable. Hold your breath and buckle up. At a snowy junction, one car blasts through without slowing down. In an instant, it slams into another vehicle, the crash echoing across the frozen streets. A driver tries to cut off the car ahead, pushing the risk a bit too far. Within seconds, the maneuver backfires. The car fishtails and slams into a roadside fence. Two vehicles converge in the middle of a busy junction. A brief moment of misjudgment ends in a sudden, violent smash. At a quiet parking lot, everything seems still until the unthinkable occurs. A wall collapses without warning, crushing the parked cars beneath tons of rubble. An SUV speeds along the shoulder, kicking up dust as it goes. Suddenly, a fence appears ahead. The vehicle slams into it and rebounds into the air from the impact. A small car cuts sharply in front of a truck, forcing the driver to swerve left. The truck smashes into another alongside it, while the reckless car speeds away from the scene. A car suddenly swerves off the road and mounts the sidewalk. It smashes into a wall, narrowly missing a person lying just a few feet away. On the icy road, a car loses control and skids into an oncoming lorry. The impact is savage, and within seconds, the car erupts into flames. The bridge stands solid over the running river, a picture of steadiness. Then, with a sudden rumble, its framework fails and collapses into the waters below. A car rear-ends the vehicle ahead, the impact jolting it off course. Moments later, it crashes into a roadside pole, coming to an abrupt stop. The car's driver nodded off and drifted into the oncoming lane. The truck collided at full speed, leaving no chance of escape. A peaceful ride turns fatal when the driver loses command of the wheel. The car swerves off the roadway and crashes hard into a tree. As the car races down the road, a sudden blast tears through the front. The bumper rips off entirely, scattering fragments across the asphalt. A heavy lorry loses control on the icy road, swerving across the center line. In a split second, it crashes head-on into another truck coming from the opposite direction. The video captures a single curb where vehicles of every kind keep wrecking. Cars, motorcycles, even scooters. It's as if this stretch of road is jinxed, claiming one driver after another. Two heavy lorries collide head-on at high speed, the impact echoing across the road. Moments later, flames erupt from the wrecks, the debris engulfed in fire. Losing control on the ice, the truck slides off the road and barrels toward the sidewalk. In seconds, it crashes straight into a city storefront, shattering glass and scattering debris everywhere. A stolen vehicle lost control and smashed into the fence, leaving a wake of devastation. A tractor climbs a slight incline, fighting to keep its balance. Suddenly, it leans too far and rolls backward, crashing heavily onto the ground. Losing control, a heavy truck careens forward uncontrollably. It plows into the vehicles ahead, sparking a massive and terrifying domino effect crash. The driver loses command as the car slides across the slick roadway. In a heartbeat, it slams into a traffic signal, bringing the turmoil to an end. A Formula One driver charges into the bend, edging the limits of grip. Suddenly, the car loops around, crashes, and erupts in fire as marshals sprint toward the scene. A truck breaks down in the middle of the railway lines. Moments later, a fast-moving train slams into it, ripping through metal with irresistible force. The camera sweeps across a tranquil horizon. In the distance, a colossal fireball blossoms, climbing into the sky like a blazing mushroom cloud. A van tries to cross the railway just as the barriers descend, trapping it on the tracks. With nowhere to go, the driver can only wait until a speeding train plows into the rear of the vehicle.
I changed his mind! Oh no, no! Oh my god!
The helicopter starts to wobble mid-air, losing balance. Within seconds, it spirals downward and slams into the ground. A truck makes a turn with a long metal beam jutting from its bed. The beam spans the roadway, and the car behind plows straight into it, unable to stop in time. A cyclist crosses the road without getting off. The car ahead brakes sharply to avoid hitting him, but the vehicle behind can't stop in time and crashes into it. A heavy truck rolls forward uncontrollably, smashing into another parked lorry. The driver standing nearby narrowly dodges being struck. The driver nods off, his car gradually drifting into the oncoming lane. A truck approaches head-on, and the crash is immediate and catastrophic. The driver loses command on a narrow lane. The car swerves offline and slams into a parked vehicle with a loud crunch. Losing command on a calm stretch, the driver drifts offline. The car smashes into a pole, the hit reverberating through the quiet air. The paved road gave way right beneath a moving car, a terrifying moment captured on camera. The rider attempts to load his motorbike into the back of a pickup using a simple ramp. But as the front wheel reaches the truck bed, balance is lost, and both man and machine tumble to the ground. The driver nods off for just a moment. That moment is enough. The car smashes into a truck's rear wheel and overturns violently. As a moose darts across the icy road, the bus driver swerves to avoid it. The massive vehicle skids uncontrollably, sliding sideways over the frozen surface. A car is cut off in traffic and jerks sharply to avoid a crash. Instead, it smashes into a garage door, bursting straight inside. Security camera footage shows an ordinary shift at the factory when, without warning, a fierce inferno erupts, engulfing the building in mere moments. A car began smashing into everything around it, and a nearby motorist rushed over, only to find, unbelievably, that a dog was at the wheel trying to steal the car. The plane swerves off course, losing command as it drops. Moments later, it crashes into a barrier, sparking a huge blast that wraps the area in flames. A speeding car fails to notice a stopped vehicle ahead. The collision turns the parked car into a ramp, catapulting the speeding vehicle into the air for a startling, gravity-defying moment.
Stuwa. Rondo jest jego, nie?
Patrz, dzwon!
Patrz!
Dzwon!
At a snowy junction, two cars approach the crossing. One fails to brake in time and skids straight into the other, causing a cold, crunching crash. The motorist tried to pass a bus but misjudged the gap, colliding with a passing vehicle and causing a shocking, horrific wreck. At an intersection, a small mound of dirt and a downed tree sit in the middle of the road. A speeding car strikes them head-on, launching into the air before smashing back down with a thunderous impact. A car moves to pass, unaware of another vehicle right behind it. After a brief cutoff, the driver panics, yanks the wheel, and the car spins out, smashing into a roadside fence. By the roadside, a car burns intensely, flames devouring its frame. The heat warps the air as smoke billows into the cold sky, a haunting sight of devastation.
Смотри, что делает.
A delivery van veers into the oncoming lane without warning. In a split second, it crashes head-on with a small car, sending both vehicles spinning. An ambulance barrels through a red light, sirens wailing. But a speeding car enters the same junction, colliding with it and flipping the ambulance onto its side. A speeding boat slices swiftly across the water but strikes a taut cable. In an instant, the vessel flips over, hurling everything into chaos. A pedestrian crosses the road away from the crosswalk, unaware of the danger. Drivers slam on their brakes over the icy surface, but instead of stopping, the cars collide with each other in a desperate attempt to avoid him. A compact car tries to pass on a narrow stretch of road. In an instant, it crashes head-on with an oncoming truck. At a busy junction, a van and a compact car cross paths at the wrong moment. The hit is abrupt, sending both vehicles spinning across the roadway. Two cars smash at a busy junction, scattering debris across the roadway. Later that same day, another wreck occurs in the very same spot, a crossroads that seems downright cursed. A car moves to pass and tries to merge back into its lane too quickly. It skids, spins out of control, and collides with an oncoming vehicle. An intoxicated driver raced down the road, smashing into everything in his way. After parking, he strolled off as if nothing occurred, but officers soon apprehended him. The plane descends unevenly, struggling to regain stability. Then, in a devastating instant, it slams straight into the ground with immense force. Traffic moves smoothly along the busy avenue when, with a sharp bang, the manhole covers rocket into the air, startling everyone nearby. A compact car pulls out to pass, misjudging the gap ahead. In an instant, it crashes head-on with an oncoming lorry. The driver brakes hard without warning, leaving the car behind no time to respond. Forced to swerve into the oncoming lane, the trailing vehicle collides head-on with another car. A heavy lorry loses traction on the icy road, its trailer lurching uncontrollably. Within seconds, it crosses the center line and slams into another truck coming from the opposite direction. A truck hauls a car on a rope, moving steadily along the bumpy road. When it strikes a hump, the towed vehicle sways violently to the side, smashing into several parked cars, leaving a wake of damage behind. During takeoff, the aircraft struggles to stabilize. Suddenly, it pitches downward and crashes, followed by a massive blast that illuminates the runway. The car strikes a deep pothole at top speed, one that acts like a ramp. In an instant, it launches into the air, soaring several meters before smashing back down onto the road. At a busy junction, a bus approaches too fast to stop in time. It slams into a small car ahead, a moment of misjudgment with devastating consequences. A small courier van moves steadily down the crowded street. Then, moments later, it detonates without warning, transforming the routine drive into turmoil. A firefighting helicopter hovers low over the lake to scoop up water. But with a sudden loss of control, it tips and plunges straight into the water below. A car vaulted through the air above the road. Not Superman, not a meteor, but an actual vehicle hurtling at full speed. A car attempts to merge into the right lane, miscalculating the gap. It grazes the vehicle ahead, overturns, and comes to a halt upside down in the middle of the road. A small car loses control and swerves toward a man standing beside his vehicle. He leaps just in time, landing on the hood as the car screeches to a stop. A car clips the rear wheel of a truck ahead while trying to squeeze past. The impact upsets the balance, and the massive truck topples over and slams to the ground. A compact car grazes the side of an SUV while changing lanes. The hit sends the larger vehicle tumbling over in a violent spin. The car ahead begins to weave unpredictably. Moments later, the driver behind can't react in time, and a sudden crash ensues. A car cuts off a smaller vehicle, trying to force its way ahead, but karma hits quickly. It loses control, overturns, and tumbles off the roadway. An old structure stands quietly, its walls fissured and worn by age. Then it abruptly gives way, throwing up a vast dust cloud as frightened onlookers sprint for safety. A small car pulls out to make a turn, unaware of a speeding truck approaching. The icy road gives the truck no chance to stop, and within moments, it slams into the helpless vehicle. A moment of lapse is all it takes. One vehicle slams into another, the quiet street erupting with the screech and grind of metal on metal. Two heavy lorries surge toward each other on the open road. In a split second, they collide head-on, a violent impact that leaves mangled metal in its wake. In a quiet neighborhood, a manhole suddenly detonates beside parked cars. Thick white smoke pours out, engulfing the street within moments. A truck thunders down the road when flames suddenly erupt from its chassis. Within seconds, the vehicle is engulfed, forcing the driver to stop and bail out. A Kamaz lorry rolls over the crossing just as a train nears. In a heartbeat, the hulking engine rams it, hauling the truck for several meters and leaving only mangled debris in its wake. Two cars enter the junction at the same moment, a split-second misjudgment, and they collide in the middle of the crossing. A heavy lorry stalls in the middle of the level crossing. Moments later, a fast-moving train rams into it, ripping through the metal in a brutal collision. A dump truck dumps tons of soil into a pit, the ground trembling beneath it. But the weight shifts abruptly, and the entire truck pitches forward, plunging into the hole along with its load. On a snowy roadway, a car loses traction and starts to slide sideways. Within moments, it slams into a stone wall, scattering debris across the white landscape. At a busy junction, one error triggers chaos. 5 cars crash in a massive chain reaction, turning the crossing into a scene of wreckage. A car rockets through a puddle, soaking a passing cyclist in muddy water. But karma hits fast. Moments later, the driver loses control and skids off the road. A car reverses out of a parking space but veers off course. It grinds along the sidewalk railing, warping metal with each jolt. A driver attempts to stage a crash, swerving sharply toward a nearby car. When that fails, they reverse straight into another vehicle, unaware the whole stunt is captured on camera. At the junction, 2 cars enter from opposite directions. Neither yields, and they crash in a sudden violent impact. The driver tried to pass in the opposing lane, but misjudged the gap, causing a serious collision, a reminder to stay vigilant on the road. A plane drops low above the motorway, fighting to remain airborne. Moments after, it slams onto the pavement and ignites in a blazing blast, an astonishing yet terrifying scene. A driver films a truck crawling down the road. Its twisted chassis and smashed panels lay bare the aftermath of a serious wreck. Two cars end up in a strange crash, one teetering on top of the other's bonnet. When the lower car backs up, the one above slams down with a loud thud. Losing control at high speed, the car veers off the road. In the next instant, it slams into a tree, the force of the impact leaving no margin for error. In wintry conditions, a car lost control and smashed into another at top speed, a truly harrowing crash on slick, icy roads. An intoxicated driver swerves erratically along the roadside. Again and again, he smashes into the barriers, turning the roadway into a scene of havoc. A reckless driver cuts sharply in front of another car. The startled motorist swerves, loses control, and smashes violently into the roadside fence. The driver lost control and slammed into a building, which instantly caved in onto the car, entombing it beneath the debris. At a busy junction, two trucks slam into each other. One rolls onto its side, dumping sand from its open bed across the roadway. A car disregards the lowered gate and drives onto the tracks. Mere seconds later, a train hurtles through, smashing into the vehicle with devastating force. At a crowded junction, a car speeds through and slams into a passing van. The collision is so forceful that the van overturns, coming to rest on its side. A large lorry barrels down the opposite lane with its rear door flapping open. As it passes a small car, the door snags it, hauling the helpless vehicle along in a terrifying instant. A passing car's dashcam records an unremarkable stretch of roadway when, without warning, a blazing crimson blast billows up like a mushroom cloud, saturating the sky with shock and awe. A massive lorry hurtles down the road, unable to slow in time. It plows into a small car ahead, the size disparity making the impact devastating. As the race starts, the car veers erratically across the circuit. Moments later, white smoke billows from its engine before it slams violently into the barrier. The motorist pulls to the side after noticing odd sounds from his vehicle. When he lifts the hood, smoke starts billowing out, thickening quickly as the motor overheats. As one car gingerly enters the junction, another rockets in from the right. The crash is abrupt and savage, the sound of impact reverberating through the crossroads. On a frozen stretch of road, two cars race toward each other with little visibility. In an instant, they collide head-on, the brutal force of the crash echoing through the winter air. 4 motorcyclists ride in a line, slowing as they approach traffic. But the last rider can't brake in time. One crash triggers another, and all 4 topple to the ground like dominoes. A man pours petrol on the road, chasing a dramatic effect. But when the flames catch his own car, he's forced to jump out and sprint for his life as it erupts into fire. A tranquil day at the marketplace unfolds as people peruse the booths. Within moments, a dense white plume envelops the vicinity, consuming everything and everyone in view. In broad daylight, an intoxicated driver zigzags through traffic, dismissing every warning sign. His reckless display ends suddenly as the car dives into a nearby pond. Driving along a frozen shoulder, the truck's wheel slips onto the snowy verge. As it spins helplessly, the huge vehicle begins to slide until it finally tips off the road into the drift below. 2 cars enter the junction at the same time. Neither driver gives way, and their sudden crash sends debris flying across the roadway. A calm morning commute erupts into chaos as a city bus collides head-on with a heavy truck. What started as an ordinary drive suddenly turns into a fight for survival. An intoxicated driver zigzags down the street in mayhem. One after another, parked cars fall prey to his reckless route. 2 aircraft converge in the clear air, their trajectories tragically aligned. In an instant, they smash head-on. One corkscrews out of control and slams down in a blazing plunge. Losing control, the compact car veers onto the shoulder. Within seconds, it crashes into a passing truck, the impact echoing across the roadway. A truck loses grip on the icy road, spinning like a merry-go-round. After several rotations, it slides straight into a parked car with a heavy impact. The car's driver dozed off and drifted into the opposing lane. The truck struck at top speed, leaving no chance to get away. A woman steps off the sidewalk, oblivious to the oncoming fast-moving car. The motorist jerks the wheel at the last moment, only to smash into the parked car behind. High in the mountains, drivers make their way along a narrow roadway. Suddenly, massive boulders break free and thunder down onto the passing cars below. While attempting to park, the driver grazes the car behind, then taps the one in front. After a few seconds, the vehicle finally settles awkwardly into the space. Disregarding the red light, the driver accelerates, convinced he'll make it through. A split second later, another car slams into his side, a stark reminder that rushing on the road can cost dearly. The driver lost control and crashed straight into a pricey parked car, turning a mistake into an expensive accident. The driver loses control and drifts onto the shoulder. Within seconds, the car skids sideways and overturns with a thunderous crash. A gasoline tanker drifts onto the shoulder as the driver nods off. It slams into a fence, and within seconds, the rear tank flips and detonates in a fiery blast witnessed by passing cars. The car skids on the icy road, the driver struggling to regain control. But as it spins around, the rear end slams into a passing truck, the struggle ending in a violent crash. A small car loses traction on the ice, sliding sideways with no control. Moments later, it slips off the road and comes to a stop on the snowy shoulder. A heavy truck loaded with concrete beams struggles to keep steady on icy pavement. As it skids out of control, the massive beams spill into the opposite lane, barreling straight toward oncoming traffic. The car loses grip on the icy road as it nears the junction. Sliding out of control, it slams into the side of another vehicle, crossing the lane. The video shows a deceptively mild bend that appears harmless at first glance. One car smashes into the guardrail, another gets a tire blowout, and a third meets the same end as if the turn itself were jinxed. Two cars reach the junction from opposing directions. In a split second of miscalculation, they crash, flinging debris across the roadway. Crazy crashes, epic saves. Don't blink. Like and subscribe for more jaw-dropping moments.